I was doing my weekly live stream this past Friday when I had got some very interesting news in the chats from a couple of my subscribers as I was talking that literally made me pause in the middle of what I was discussing to find out if it was indeed true. And then they told me Lisa Cabrera did a video about it, but I hadn't seen it, so it was all new to me. So I found out that Tucker Carlson, one of the most bigoted people over at Fox News, and that's not saying much considering the type of network that environment hosts, is losing advertisers left and right because of his comments about the Black Lives Matter protest. Now, you know me, I'm not on the Black Lives Matter train, but guess what? It's not like I'm bonded by a contract. I say what I want, within reason, of course, without going too off the rails. But this guy right here has a platform, a multi-million-dollar, unfortunately, platform, and they are snatching stuff left and right. So as you can see, two of the advertisers next to his head, and his head looks like a daggone tennis racket, is two major companies, and you may have heard of them, Disney and T-Mobile, who have pulled out. Now, this article that I'm going to read to you from the New York Times was posted 42 minutes ago, so it's very, very recent, where he has lost even more advertisers. And what have I told y'all before? When advertisers start pulling out from people, usually that means the next step is they're probably going to be let go. That's the same thing that happened with Bill O'Wifebeater. Remember? And people didn't believe me. They was like, oh, I don't know Torian. He may still be. That's like, okay. And what happened a couple weeks later? He got that little vacation. You know, their little 2-week vacation. And after his vacation, we ain't see him no more. And Bill O'Wifebeater ain't been on Fox News as a regular host in like, what, 3 or 4 years. And I have a feeling Tucker Carlson is about to be in the same boat. So let's go ahead and see what they talking about. Fox News host Tucker Carlson loses more advertisers. Disney, Papa John's, Poshmark, and T-Mobile backed away from Tucker Carlson tonight after the host comments about Black Lives Matter protests. Like I've always said, the advertisers is what keeps the company moving. When they start pulling out, especially big companies like Disney, and Disney is the biggest company up there, they pull out, that's a wrap. And I think Disney does own Fox. So Fox News, I believe, falls right under there. And you know, that's right, one of their biggest contributors. When advertisers pull out like that, which is money, millions of dollars that pumped back into the network to keep them afloat because they believe in your brand, and they don't get the money, then why do they keep you on? You're pretty much a dead brand. But let's continue. On Monday's segment of his primetime show, the Fox News host, Tucker Carlson, cast doubt of the reasons behind the worldwide unrest prompted by the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis last month. This may be a lot of things this moment we are living through, Mr. Carlson said, but it is definitely not about Black lives, and remember, when they come for you, and at this rate, they will. Since he made those statements and others, prominent companies including the Walt Disney Company, Papa John's, Poshmark, and T-Mobile have distanced themselves from the Tucker Carlson tonight, joining other businesses that have backed away from the show in recent years. So it seems to me that this is a snowball effect. These companies are the latest to leave from him, but he's had other advertisers pull out before. So it sounds to me like he should have been out the door eons ago, but they kept him on because they needed a face there. You know, with Bill O'Wifebeater not being there anymore, they needed to put Sean Hannity. They needed to put Tucker Carlson there. He was the next best thing. The flight of advertisers accelerated on Tuesday when the watchdog group Sleeping Giants tagged T-Mobile in a Twitter post saying that Fox News had aired what amounted to an extremely racist segment scaremongering about the black community. The telecommunications giant responded on Twitter saying that its ads had not run on the show since early May and would not run in the future. Mike Sievert, T-Mobile's chief executive, added a post on his own. Bye-bye Tucker Carlson. That sounds like something I would title this video, but I can't exactly wave bye-bye to Tucker Carlson just yet until he's actually out of the door. Fox News said that Mr. Carlson was referring to Democratic leaders, not protesters. See how he's trying to switch up when he said they in his remarks on Monday night's program. No matter what they tell you, it has very little to do with Black lives, Mr. Carlson has said. If only it did. Advertiser Disavowals, the show, gained momentum on Wednesday after the newsletter Popular Information highlighted that Disney had run commercials 29 times on Mr. Carlson's program this year. The entertainment giant responded by saying that it had asked the third-party media agency that placed the ads, which were for Disney's ABC network, to stop doing so on the show. Papa John's, a pizza chain that was the center of an uproar in 2018 over a racial slur used by its founder, also backed away from Mr. Carlson. Now, you know that's something. When Papa John's, the person who was running that, who was racist himself, backs away from another racist. But I just want people over at Papa John's to know that's not going to get us to come back over to you. Just letting you know. Usewise founder backed away from Carlson. The company said that Havas, its media agency, placed a general buy for ad space across several cable news networks and left the positioning of the spots up to the networks. Papa John's began advertising on cable only after the pandemic began, as live sports and other content disappeared. It has run ads on the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC and CNN Tonight with Don Lemon. After Mr. Carlson's comments, Papa John's said in a statement that it would stop spending on opinion shows, noting that placement of advertising is not intended to be an endorsement of any specific programming or commentary. Stephen Tristan Young, the chief marketing officer of Poshmark, said in a statement on Thursday that the e-commerce company stopped advertising on Tucker Carlson Tonight on June 2nd. We do not agree with the comments he made on his show and stand in solidarity with those who seek to advance racial justice and equality, Mr. Young said. Companies are trying to be especially sensitive amid the nationwide reckoning over race. Many, including Disney, T-Mobile, Poshmark, and Papa John's, have posted messages on social media in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Others have been advertising less in recent weeks. Mr. Carlson has spoken harshly about the unrest, urging a more severe crackdown on protests. In a segment posted on YouTube on June 1st, which was preceded by a note that it could be inappropriate or offensive to some audience, he chided that Vice President Mike Pence for having scolded America for its racism and told 45 that people will not forgive weakness. Fox News said the advertiser departures had not caused the network to suffer a financial hit overall, noting that the commercials that would have run nationwide on Tucker Carlson Tonight had moved to other programs on the network. On Thursday night, a hashtag campaign, hashtag I Stand With Tucker, sprang up on Twitter with his fans appending it to messages of support for the host. As the phrase made the list of platform's trending topics, Mr. Carlson's detractors tweeted insults at the host and the network that employs him while making use of the same hashtag. Mr. Carlson, who recently sold his stake in the conservative site for the Daily Caller, has lost major advertisers in the past years. Dozens of companies, including Pacific Life, Farmers Insurance, and IHOP, have distanced themselves after his on-air comments about white supremacy, immigrants, and women. But his show remains a linchpin for the Fox News lineup. Ironically, it says linchpin, even though it's not spelled like that, but I'm using it in that context considering I call it Fox News. Drawing 4.8 million viewers last week, so far more like 4.8 million losers. So far this year, Tucker Carlson Tonight generated 16% of ad revenue for Fox News. According to iSpot.tv, the television ads measurement company, out of $75 million in total spending, more than a third came from a single advertiser, MyPillow, a pillow manufacturer in Minnesota, run by Mike Lindell, a supporter of Mr. Trump, who appeared at a White House Rose Garden news briefing in March. Few major brands remain on Mr. Carlson's program. Several major media buyers said they did not have clients with recent spots on the show. Alongside spots with the computer security brand Norton, the skincare brand Proactive, and 45's re-election campaign, recent ads have included a beet powder company that has used gun rights personality Dana Loesch as a spokeswoman, a foot fungus treatment brand, and several law firms, according to iSpot TV. Listen, I think they're just saving face right now to try to save this fool. I'm telling you right now, it's only going to be a matter of time before this imbecile is out of his position, much like his buddy in crime, Bill a wife beater, and I and many others are awaiting that day.